Welcome to the deep dive. We take interesting sources and pull out the key stuff so you get informed fast.
Yep, and today we're digging into an episode from The Curious Wanderer. It's called Hidden Gems and Travel Hacks.
Sounds promising. What kind of things did they cover?
It's a real mix, actually. There's this unique village in Italy, some airport survival tips, a pretty funny story from Istanbul, and just general travel advice.
Okay, so the mission, like always, is to boil it down, give our listeners the most useful bits.
Exactly. Save you the time, give you the goods, actionable insights, interesting stories.
All right, let's start with that Italian village you mentioned. Civita
Yeah.
di Bagnoregio. That sounds different.
Oh, it is really different. Imagine this tiny medieval town basically stuck on top of a hill. You can only get there by walking across this long footbridge.
Wow, isolated.
Totally. They even call it the dying town because of erosion and, well, the isolation. But the really fascinating part, the residents decided to ban Wi-Fi routers.
Hold on. Ban Wi-Fi, like completely.
Yeah.
In Italy.
Yep. No routers allowed in homes or businesses.
Why would they do that? That seems counterintuitive today.
Well, according to the source, it was a conscious choice. They wanted to, encourage actual conversation, real human connection.
Huh. Instead of everyone staring at their phones.
Precisely. The mayor apparently said something quite powerful. It was, we didn't ban technology, we chose humanity.
We chose humanity.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a statement.
It really is. And the key insight there, I think, is this growing idea that sometimes disconnecting is valuable.
Right.
That maybe there's a real draw to places that push back against the constant digital noise.
And is it working? Are people actually going there because there's no Wi-Fi?
The episode suggested so. They mention anecdotal stuff like writers going there for focus or burned out executives looking to just unplug completely.
So it's becoming a feature, not a bug.
Kind of, yeah. It suggests there's a real hunger for these intentionally disconnected spaces. It's almost a luxury now, isn't it, to be offline?
It really turns things on their head.
Yeah.
Usually the first question is, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Exactly. And here, the lack of it is the point. Oh, and they had a practical tip, too, for visiting.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
If you want the best photos, especially of the bridge and the town without crowds, you need to get there early, like 6:30 a.m. early.
Oof. 6:30 a.m. Okay, good to know for the photographers out there. So a medieval town choosing conversation over connectivity? Fascinating stuff.
Definitely makes you think.
Okay, let's shift gears. From quiet Italian hilltops to the maybe not-so-quiet world of airports, the source brought in an expert for this part.
They did, yeah. An aviation journalist, Sarah Chen. She had some pretty down-to-earth advice for getting through the airport experience.
Always useful. What did she cover? Anything beyond the usual arrive early?
Yeah, a bit more specific. She mentioned something called the L-shaped seat trick for trying to sleep in the terminal.
The L-shaped seat trick. What is that? Do you need two seats?
Basically, yeah. You look for two seats next to each other that are arranged at a right angle, forming an L. The idea is it gives you a bit more room to stretch out, or at least curl up, compared to just one seat.
Ah, okay. I can picture that. Find a corner seat arrangement. Still probably not comfortable, but better than nothing on a long layover, I guess.
Right. It's about those small wins, those little hacks that make a long travel day slightly less awful. Preparation, really.
Makes sense. What else did you recommend?
Something I thought was quite clever. Always pack a power strip. You know, one of those multi-outlet things?
Oh, interesting. Why? Just because outlets are scarce.
That's part of it. Yeah, you can charge all your own gadgets. But she also said it's kind of a social icebreaker.
How so?
Well, if you plug in your power strip, suddenly you have like 3 or 4 extra outlets. Other travelers looking for juice might come over, ask if they can plug in. You end up chatting.
Huh. Making connections. Literally and figuratively. I like that. Practical and social.
Yep. And then they touched on something lots of people wonder about. Secret airline upgrade codes.
Ah, yes, the Holy Grail. Do they actually exist? Did she spill the beans?
Well, she addressed it, but don't get your hopes up. The impression was that it's mostly myth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So no magic words to whisper at the check-in counter.
Seems not. She kind of hinted that any codes that did exist are probably outdated or internal airline stuff or just not reliably usable by the average passenger. So, yeah, probably better to rely on frequent flyer miles or just being polite.
Okay, myth busted then. Stick to the power strip for making friends. Got it.
Seems like a safer bet.
All right, so after the expert tips, the source shifted to a personal story, right? Something about a carpet.
That's right. They called it the Turkish carpet caper. It was a story submitted by a listener, or rather a Reddit user, Wandering Sam.
The Turkish Carpet Keeper.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What happened?
It's a classic Istanbul scenario, apparently. Wandering Sam went into a carpet shop, just planning to look around, maybe have the offered cup of tea.
Uh-oh. I think I know where this is going. You probably do. Fast forward a bit, and they're walking out with a carpet. A beautiful one, they said, but also significantly more expensive than they'd ever planned on spending.
The old tea and sympathy trick, leading to a sale. Happens to the best of us, I suppose.
Exactly. And the insight the source drew from this was really about the psychology of it all, how skilled these sellers are.
In what way? Building rapport.
Yeah, building rapport, the hospitality with the tea creates a little sense of obligation, maybe. It's subtle persuasion, really. They're masters of it.
So what's the takeaway for travelers heading somewhere like the Grand Bazaar? Just avoid eye contact and run.
Huh. Well, they did offer a specific phrase Sam learned afterwards. If you want the tea but genuinely don't intend to buy,
Yes.
it's a chai no buy. Apparently it's direct, understood, and sets the expectation up front.
Chai, no buy.
Okay.
Okay, that's brilliant. Simple, clear. I'm noting that one down.
It highlights that whole souvenir thing, though, doesn't it? Sometimes the best stories come from the things you didn't plan to buy. That carpet probably has a great memory attached now.
True. The unexpected purchase becomes part of the adventure. It's less about the thing itself, more about the experience around it.
Precisely, the emotion tied up in it.
Okay, so after the carpet story, they moved into some quick fire tips. A travel hack segment.
Yep, a few rapid, practical ones. The first was called the fake friend method.
Fake friend, what's that?
It's a way to deter scammers or overly persistent touts. If someone's bothering you, you just casually say, "Oh, sorry, I can't stop. I'm meeting a local friend."
Ah, clever. The idea is they'll think you're not a clueless tourist, you have local support.
Exactly. It suggests you're not an easy mark. Might make them back off.
Simple, but potentially effective.
What else? Next up was Google Maps. We all use it, right? But the tip was about downloading offline maps before you go.
Yeah, standard advice, surely. Saves data, works without signal.
Right, but they were specific. They recommended downloading 3 separate offline maps for each place you visit.
3. Why 3? That seems like overkill.
Well, the thinking, I guess, is redundancy. Maybe one map is zoomed out for major routes, one is zoomed in on the city center with points of interest, and a third is just a complete backup in case one file gets corrupted or something.
Okay. Layers of safety nets. I can see the logic, especially if you're going somewhere really remote. Better safe than sorry.
That seemed to be the idea, maximum preparedness.
And the last hack in this section.
This one was a bit quirky, the sock savings hack.
Sock savings. Does that involve putting money in your socks?
Pretty much. Rolling up emergency cash inside a pair of socks in your luggage. Apparently it's discreet. And the source even mentioned it's TSA approved.
Huh, okay. A bit old school, maybe, but I guess it keeps your emergency stash separate and hidden. Not the easiest to access for an impulse buy, though.
Definitely not, but that's the point, right? Emergency cash, these were all simple, actionable things. Safety, navigation, money, practical stuff.
Good, solid tips. So, how did the Curious Wanderer wrap things up?
They ended with what they called a postcard moment, a single, vivid travel memory.
Oh, nice. What was it?
It was from someone who'd been on a night train in Laos. They described being under this incredible starry sky and an elderly local woman on the train sharing her sticky rice wrapped in banana leaves with them.
Oh, that's lovely. Just a simple moment of connection.
Exactly. No big tourist site, no fancy meal, just kindness and shared food under the stars.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Often the most memorable moments, the things you really take home, aren't the souvenirs you bought.
That was precisely the final point, that the best travel souvenirs are the experiences, the connections, the stories you collect along the way. Those are the things that truly last.
It prompts you to think back on your own trips, doesn't it? What are the moments that really stick with you?
Definitely. And it leads to a final thought, maybe? Something for our listeners to ponder.
Go on.
Well, thinking about that Italian village banning Wi-Fi and then all these tech tips like offline maps, it makes you consider how our super digital lives are shaping travel now.
Yeah, are we seeking out places because they're disconnected, like Savita? Or are we using tech to smooth out every bump in the road, maybe missing some serendipity?
Right. It's about finding your own balance, isn't it? How much tech enhances your journey versus how much it might insulate you from those unexpected human moments, like sharing sticky rice on a train.
Something to think about on your next adventure, for sure. Where does technology fit in your travels?
A perfect question to end on. How do you choose humanity or technology when you wander?